So you can enable notifications here, so it will give a call and everything, and also the button will go away. You can see the resizability here, so it will change. So now the navigation bar is under, and now it's on the right. This is also with materialize done with JavaScript and CSS. So when you go to, for example, the watchers page, you can see that here are the things that are on the space. So it's right here. You can see the share button. But when you resize to smaller, you can see that it will go under here. And one really important thing here is you can see text under. These are two different images and two different buttons. They work separately but have the same functionality. And you can see that this also resizes pretty nicely. Going quickly over everything, we got the HTMLs. The index is here separately with the JSON and service worker to make it work better. If you put this service worker here, it can cause some hiccups. So this is a better way to do it. Then you got here your CSS, your images, your icons for showing up on your desktop with all the other apps and everything. So one exception is the other library that I use this for leaflet for the JS and CSS. This is specifically for the location to show the map and everything. Moving on to the UI, this is only for the desktop. When you press the button, you get that really nice side navigation, only that's on the desktop. Moving on to the app, here we got everything else outside of the service worker, for example, the functionality of notifications. Pretty important this. Index.html, this means that only this part of the code will run on the index.html. Same goes for example, the camera, that's only on the camera. If you remove this part, then it will go over all the other pages. You get errors because I like to use multiple pages instead of everything on one. So really important. But on the camera, for example, you can make images with your camera, but you can also pick them up with your library. For example, on your image folder on your phone. Then we go quickly to the share map. You can see also everything is set for the index.html. There are two different buttons here. If you looked on the PWA, you saw a share button on the top and one on the bottom. This one is for the top. This goes for the bottom. I made them separate because I think that it works better and nice to code with. Moving on, here is the last function, the map function. Here we see OpenStreetMap. That's the map that I used. Except you could also just use, for example, the one from Google, but then you need a special code, and I didn't want to sign up for that, so I used OpenStreetMap to make it a bit more simple. If that doesn't work, for example, the map someone doesn't want to use it, you get an error like please allow a geolocation, or there's something that, for example, the map function doesn't work. Moving quickly to the service worker, we got a static cage and a dynamic. Static will hold everything that is static. For example, the images, those won't change. Dynamic will change, for example, when you use the map. You might want to store something from the map. Here goes over the cage size limit, so you don't want to have the whole app bloated with a lot of megabytes, a lot of memory, because that can really halt the usability of the app. Here we got the installation. Here you can also see the maximum amount of static things that are stored, like it's right now 50, but it can also be 10. But when you put it on really low, then it might store not a lot of stuff. Then we got also the activate, and that listens to the service worker. Here it will delete multiple static and dynamic cages. So you only have one static and one dynamic cage. Also pretty nice. And then we got the fetch event that handles how the network requests everything. Here we see the dynamic cage. And here you can also see it, so how everything is handled in the service worker in the end. Moving on to the JSON, this is important to have a PWA work. You got the names and a lot of other details like how you want to color, for what theme color you want to PWA to have. The icons, again, to show for different sizes on the mobile, how, for example, here is it really small, here is it really big, for example, for a small phone or a tablet. Then this one is for the install banner. So when you want to install it, you see kind of like a neat image. Moving on to the CSS. Here are a lot of things, for example, what kind of font you want, what kind of background. Here I also got some animation because I thought it was pretty cool to do. On the other side, we also got some media types. For example, the bottom navigation, I wanted to hide on a minimum width. So here you can see that displayed is none, so it's gone on the desktop. And you get also the top icon here for sharing. And also you can see some PWA functions or for the PWA to have some nice work around. For example, the canvas for the map is also here, so you want it to have a maximum height and width so it doesn't gobble up the whole screen or be too small. So uh, this is a quick explanation of everything. If I've learned anything from the whole experience to create PWA, it's really important to look a lot of information up, whatever that's from ChatGPT, Brightspace, or YouTube tutorials. That's also on the top of my JavaScript and service worker, like in sources that I use. It's important to really look at them and use them really good. It can spare a lot of time and also stress later on. Also, if one thing that also sucks is that sometimes I tend to rush stuff. For example, I'm really happy that, for example, that the service worker works offline, so you can go to different pages and it works offline, which is really nice. However, when you go to, for example, the storage and you go to the the location, the map, when it wants to use the dynamic map, for example, for a lot of stuff like storing the whole map or where you go to. So functionality wise, this could be pretty bad. So this is something that I want to learn. Like, even you want to go for really cool functionalities and everything, there are still some limitations and things that you still need to learn. So sometimes you don't want to rush something in because this could be, for example, a major flaw for your PWA. And that's kind of about it what I want to talk about.